Hello friends, I'm ready to talk about my reading goals and channel goals for 2026. I'm actually really happy with how my reading has gone this year, but since starting BookTube and getting more engaged in a bookish community, I have felt my time and attention being pulled in more directions than ever. So I think it's a good time to pull back and reflect on what's working and think more intentionally about where I want my reading and this channel to go next. So, to start with what my reading goals were for 2025, I had some pretty structured reading goals. I'm a pretty structured person, if you're not familiar with with me. So I set out to read 60 books total. I wanted to read four classics. I wanted to do four rereads. I wanted to read the first four books in the House of Nicolo series. And I wanted to read at least one book from 12 different prize long lists. I am actually, in general, pretty pleased with the goals I set and how they influenced my reading. I think that they stretched me well. They gave my reading some shape without draining the joy out of it. And because of that, I'm actually keeping a lot of the same goals for next year. So I'm sticking with a 60 book total reading goal for next year, even though my reading pace this year has been higher than that. I'm already north of 80 books in mid-December. And that's because I don't want to lock myself into maintaining the same pace I've been reading at this year, and I don't want to turn reading into something that creates pressure. If I read more than 60 books next year, that's great, but I want this number to leave room for my other hobbies and exploring the rest of my life. And I don't want to feel guilty if I explore other hobbies more next year than I did this year. I'm also keeping my goals to read four classics and do four rereads. So I thought both of those were just enough of a stretch this year to be motivating. I do enjoy classics and revisiting old favorites, but I've learned that I do need sort of a little external nudge to make sure I actually make space for them in my reading habit. And then I am absolutely going to continue my House of Nicolo journey and goal. House of Nicolo is an 8 book series. So once I finish this year's goal, which I still have time to do, it's the only one that I haven't already finished. I have the fourth book left to read. When I finish that goal, there will be four more books in the series to read in 2026. And I love this series deeply, but I also know myself well enough to admit that these older, less hyped books can easily get buried under shiny new releases for me. So this goal is mostly about giving myself permission and a reminder to prioritize the series that I care about, even when it's not already like dominating the booktube conversation. It's obviously like a bit of, I would say it's an underrated book, and I think it's good to keep that in my reading. The one place where I am making a substantial change in the way the goal is written is in my prize reading goal. So I really liked doing this challenge in 2025. I like reading prize lists and staying engaged, but I've realized that the way that this goal is like set up is like doing more work than I actually need it to do right now. So what my prize reading goal gave me was a way to stay plugged into conversations about new releases and to sharpen my sense of which new books I'm actually the most curious about. But at this point, I think attending to prize lists feels pretty natural to me. So instead of recreating that kind of complicated and convoluted goal, I'm going to simplify it to just I want to read 20 new releases in 2026. And I think I will naturally be pulling new releases that are on prize lists, and so I don't need that to be its own goal. Those are my structured benchmark style reading goals, but I've also been thinking a lot about the direction I want to take this channel in. And I think I want to make more themed or project-based reading videos, even if that means slowing down the pace at which I release videos. When I started this channel, my goal was very simply to post one video a week and get my reps in. I wanted to get more comfortable talking on the camera, get more comfortable editing and actually finishing something. And that goal absolutely did its job. I learned a ton, and I have found a small but lovely community here in this little eclectic pocket of BookTube. But now I think to avoid burnout and align my videos with the way I actually think about reading, I want to make fewer videos but make them more intentional. So the videos I've enjoyed making the most are the ones where I'm reading to a theme and thinking about books in conversation with each other. I did this with my Hong Kong reading project and my National Book Awards project. And that is just how my reading structures itself, channel or not. I tend to build like little syllabi of 3 to 5 books that I want to read close together. So sometimes these are structured around reading challenges like the Our Fantasy Book Bingo Challenge, and sometimes they spill beyond the world of books entirely into movies and TV and video games that are in conversation with what I'm reading. And that's sort of what's happened with this extended vampire reading project. Now it's like branched into actual play and movies and TV. And that's what I enjoy about reading. So going forward, my goal for this channel is to let the content reflect how I actually structure my reading, which means embracing slower timelines, but also larger ideas and more synthesis. I don't think I will actually slow down my posting a lot, but I think I would be pleased to do 2 videos a month instead of 4. And I will probably switch to doing quarterly wrap-ups instead of monthly ones. And I think the end result will be more rewarding for me and those of you who choose to spend your time on this channel. Thank you very much. So that's how I've been thinking about my reading this year and like the direction I want to set for next year. If you are setting reading goals for next year too, I would love to hear about it in the comments, whether they're big or small or structured or vibes based. As you can probably tell, I love thinking about this stuff. I love thinking about what I want to get out of reading and what everyone else gets out of reading. I love this little community we've formed here. So thanks for being along for the ride, and I will see you in the next video. I need to start thinking about my 2025 favorites soon, so look forward to that.